Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, or good morning, whatever time of day it is, and whatever area you are in the world. Today is October the 6th, Sunday, and this is yours truly, Jay Blue. I just got back from seeing the movie Venom, and this is going to be my quick, non-spoiler review of the film itself. Usually when I rate films, I rate on a scale between 1 and 10, and with this movie, I will say I give it a 7. We'll get to that reason why in a moment. That doesn't mean I didn't like the film. I actually liked the movie. The movie was good. Probably wondering why I have my Spider-Man shirt on. And I just got back from seeing Venom, where for those of you who are not familiar with comic books, who are not familiar with the Venom character and Spider-Man himself, well, Venom is actually an enemy of Spider-Man in the comic books. See there? Hopefully you can see that picture. Spider-Man and Venom together. You see that? And in the comic books, they're actually enemies, along with Spider-Man's long list of enemies that he has. And Venom is a symbiote. A symbiote is an alien host or alien creature that can actually attach itself to a host, I should say, and take over that person's body and actually become that person, but maintaining its own identity, while that other person that it takes can either lose or maintain their identity at the same time. But the symbiote itself is in control, if that makes sense. And that's what a symbiote is, and that's what Venom is. He's also what we can consider to be an alien, since he's not from this world. Well, anyway, the movie, again, I give it a 7. Originally, when the movie was being produced, when it was being made, it was supposed to be rated R, but this movie is rated PG-13 because they wanted to make it kid-friendly. Venom is not really a kid-friendly character in the comics, but they make him kid-friendly, I guess, for children to be able to see, and parents not feeling uncomfortable with their children watching the story itself. Well, a lot of fans, including myself, wanted the movie to be rated R, to give a more hardcore version of the character as he should have been presented and as he actually is in the comic books. But this movie was actually, they were actually able to pull it off with a PG-13 rating, and there are many reasons behind that. And one of the reasons being, Sony is actually one of the associates or affiliates with Marvel. Marvel actually sold a lot of its characters back when they were almost in bankruptcy, and that was back in the 80s, to several companies, and one of them was Sony. And Sony holds the rights to certain characters, Marvel characters, and can actually tell the stories in the manner in which they choose. But they've been cooperative with Marvel Studios and have actually been very, very compliant in how Marvel would prefer for their characters to be told. So they loaned the Spider-Man character, for instance, in the recent Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Homecoming, starring Tom Holland, who portrayed the character of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And they're attempting to do, or possibly want to do, a shared universe or a multiverse that may eventually include Spider-Man and Venom teaming up at some point, or at least include Spider-Man in a Venom movie or Venom in a Spider-Man movie, however they're going to do it. But in order to do that, there are certain rules and regulations that they have to abide by. And Disney, who owns Marvel, has a very strict code of not having R-rated films. They don't want any R-rated films in the MCU, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And Sony, being an affiliate or affiliated with Marvel, they have to also stick with that code too if they want to have a crossover universe. But the first, in order to have a universe to cross over, the movie has to work. Did this movie work? Yes, it actually did. When I first seen the trailers, I was not impressed at all. I thought that Venom looked like plastic, gooey creature with black slime on him, or almost looked like grease or something all over his body. His body. None of the trailers impressed me at all, and they had at least 3 trailers released prior to the film itself. But the movie was good. Was it great? No. Was it the greatest Marvel movie I've ever seen? Absolutely not. But it was good. It was good entertainment. The action was good. Some of it was predictable in some points, and that's what I didn't like. Some of the scenes were a little, some of the scenes were a little, sometimes a little cheesy, but the movie itself was not campy. Tom Hardy, who's a good actor, who portrayed Bane actually in DC Comics Batman trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy, which was, of course, came out years ago, starring one of my favorite actors. But we won't get into that right now. We're not going to get into the DC universe. We're talking about Marvel at this point. And again, he did a good job. He really was into the character. He was into the synopsis of the story itself, and you could tell that by the way he portrayed the character of Eddie Brock. Venom, on the other hand, was another story. He's the alter ego, or the symbiote, that I mentioned earlier, of Eddie Brock. And the way the creature was done, I liked the way they did these special effects. The effects were done well. But again, some parts were a little, how can I say, a little off kilter. But in the same token, when it came to the action sequences, kind of justified some things and made you, after a while of watching the story, get into, again, I can't say too much without giving the story away, but I liked the Venom character. I liked the Eddie Brock character. I think that, again, if the film would have been rated R, they could have done a lot more with it. But I understand, again, as I've just explained, why it wasn't rated R. I recommend it to go see. It's good entertainment. It looks like they're going to push for a sequel. To my understanding, Tom Hardy signed a 3-contract deal to star in 3 films. And again, there's a possibility of crossovers between Spider-Man and Venom, probably Venom meeting the Avengers or whatever they're going to do at some point in the future. So that's my non-spoiler review of the film. And again, I rate it out of 10. I give it a 7, strong 7. I recommend it to go see it for anyone who's interested in seeing a symbiote creature on screen ripping people to pieces. And the violence was, by the way, it was minimal. It wasn't any blood or guts, but the way they filmed it, you could tell what the symbiote creature was doing when it attacked. And that's all I'll say, again, without giving anything away. You want to stay for the post credits. All Marvel films and most comic book movies have post credit scenes. One of the post credit scenes kind of, I don't know. It was. I don't know if it was. If I can say it was good or bad, but I understand again what they were doing with it, and where they're going with it, and pushing for a sequel. Of course, there were 2. Okay, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Never mind. But then again, anyway, the post-credit scenes were well done. One I really did like. And like I said, one I thought was, could take it or leave it. But, would I buy this movie on DVD? Absolutely, I would. It's good entertainment, good to watch. They did another thing that I didn't care for, and then I'm going to close this out, and this isn't giving anything away because you can see it in the trailers, which kind of reminds me of the dark days of DC comic movies. It's where you can't see anything. Everything is dark. And, you know, that right there is just not, to me, it's a cheap way of doing special effects. It takes a lot from the action sequences, and it also makes you sleepy. But again, go see the movie. You'll enjoy it, I hope. And let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like my review, hit the like button and subscribe. And may you live to see the dawn. Peace.